Hey, if you're a novice trying to tape drywall, if you've ever tried to tape with paper tape and joint compound, you probably struggled. Well, there's a few ways you can get around that, but today I'm going to show you this new invention called the fast little taper. And I'm going to show you why it just might be the solution you're looking for. Hey, welcome back to my channel here at That Kilted Guy Videos. And today I've got an invention here that the inventor of this sent to me. Now this is a paid video, so it is a sponsored video, but I'm going to give you my honest opinion about this tool. I looked it over, I watched his videos. I honestly wouldn't even do this if I didn't feel like it was something that might benefit you guys. So we're going to go over the possible benefits to this tool, the downsides, and who this might be for. Now you guys out there taping homes and that, you want one of these. You want them bad. No, I'm just kidding. This is really geared towards the novice. So like the homeowner, somebody who just does this now and then. Because like I said, if you've ever tried to tape with paper tape, you probably got blisters like this image right here. And that happens a lot because you guys, you're not experienced. You often make the mistakes of putting on too little mud, or you don't put it on evenly. You wipe it too tight. You let it dry too much before you get the tape on it, and so on. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. Now your alternatives are mesh tape, but that requires using fast setting joint compound like in this picture. And that is a trick in itself for you novices, so it's not the ideal solution. You can also go to like the fiber fuse, which is this stuff right here. It's a tightly woven, fine fiber fuse. You can actually see through this. Well, decently anyway. It's a pretty good product, but it's got its downsides too. If you don't know how to get the mud on right, you can still get some blisters. It's a lot less likely with this, but you can. And then the other disadvantage is this is fiberglass. It can actually make you itch. I've had it kind of get into my arm and make me itch a little bit. So it might not be the ideal solution. Paper tape is a great product, but it can be a little bit tricky for you guys. Now, you could say, well, why don't you use a Banjo? I've used a Banjo thousands of times probably. I've also used a full set of automatic taping tools. We call this one a bazooka, like in this picture. But those automatic taping tools, just the bazooka, is around $1,400. This Banjo, it's cheaper, but it's $79 roughly. And so it's not cheap. And then the disadvantages to the Banjo are it's still not easy to run. As many times as I've run it, I fight with it getting to cut right because you're pulling out wet, soggy tape. It doesn't want to cut very easy sometimes. Also, when you fill this thing up, you can see it holds quite a bit of mud. And when you're running this tool, let me show you how you run it basically. You load the tape up in here, that adds some weight. You put the mud in here, that adds some more weight. Then you often have to run it like this. You're running it down the joints and that. That's a pretty good workout. I'm in really good shape from doing this for so many years. My shoulder's strong and it still is a workout. So if you're not in the greatest shape, you might not want to even try one of these. So this invention right here could be the solution you guys are looking for. Okay, so let's cover some of the advantages to this tool right quick. Number one, it's easy to learn. Even as a novice, it won't take you too long to learn. As a matter of fact, I'm not a novice, but I've never used this tool. Totally different than anything we've ever done for taping. I'm gonna learn right here on the spot and see how hard it is to figure it out. Number two, it's very cost effective. This cost under $30, and that's a lot cheaper than a Banjo. And of course you can use this for other things and that, but I honestly will tell you, you probably still want to have another 6-inch knife because this isn't removable. So there's times you're going to need the freedom of nothing on here. So it's simple to use. It comes with instructions right here on the card. And I'm going to put a link to the product where you can purchase this on Amazon, as well as a link to his website and videos so you can go figure out how to use it right. Okay, let's talk about the design. Is it built well? Well, honestly, it seems to be. It's stainless steel design. It seems to be a solid handle here. It's got the hammer end. It's also got these little kind of like wedge things here. And I'll try and show you a close-up of that. What that's for is there's times when your joint, say a butt joint that you cut, it'll have kind of like a rolled paper coming out. You can take this little wedge, run it down there and kind of V it back in there. Feels really sturdy. This is made out of high-density polyethylene, so it's a good sturdy plastic too. The inventor spent several years tweaking this and refining it, so seems like it's well built for that. And being so simple like this is a lot easier to clean than a Banjo. Now the design of it, it has these little teeth in here, and I'll try and show you a close-up of that too. What that does is, as we pull the paper tape through here, you'll see it goes through the mud, and then it basically wipes off just the right amount. It puts a nice even coat of mud on. That's one of the biggest problems you guys have. So you don't even have to know how to spread the mud. This takes that away. All you got to do is put the paper tape through here. It puts the mud on it, stick it to the wall, and we're going to show you that in a minute, and then wipe it down. Really simplifies it. So this is going to eliminate blisters for you. And the only disadvantage I can see so far is, yes, this is going to be a lot slower than a Banjo. But again, if you're a novice and try and run a Banjo, you're probably going to make so many mistakes and fight it so much that this actually will probably be faster, honestly. All right, so let's get into how to do this. First thing you need is, of course, some joint compound. We're using regular weight, all-purpose here. I'm going to put it in this little it's a 1 gallon bucket. And you do need to thin it down. Anytime you're taping, you don't want the really straight, thick mud. All-purpose is a little thinner than some mud, but it's still, for taping purposes, we want to thin it down a little bit. So we want to thin it down to kind of like a yogurt consistency, where it's fairly thin, but if you pick it up like this and it just runs off your knife, you got it too thin. I'm going to mix it up for you and show you what it should look like. All right, so we got set up here. We're going to tape right here on this piece of sheetrock. I painted this gray, in case you're wondering, so that it contrasts against the color of the mud easier. So what we're going to do is thin this down a little bit, and you've got multiple ways you can do it. You know, if you really are on a tight budget, I guess you could get out a big paint stick or branch off your tree, but here's what I recommend. If you're on a tight budget, go get one of these at the thrift store. Egg beater, 99 cents. This works great. You just chuck it up in your drill, or Level 5 sells this nifty little mixer right here. And this is actually made to mix up like in your mud pan. So you can smooth your mud out inside your mud pan. You can mix up hot mud, etc., which you can do with that also. Or you can get like a paint whisk. I just took this and cut the sides off so it fits in my pan better. That works too. Or you can build your own. I made this one, I welded it up. So that's homemade. I was trying to make one that fit into my mud pan. I've got lots of ways to do it, but let's stick with the cheap and easy way. So we're gonna add a little water. And just like making brownies. Just kidding. Trust me, I've ate enough of that. It does not taste like brownies. Okay, I'd say that's pretty close. get that out of the way. Now I'm going to show you how thin that looks now, because it's, like I say, it's almost like yogurt. You can see it's fairly runny. I'd say a little bit thicker than yogurt. It's hard to describe the thickness of mud, but if I do like this, you can see it's pretty thin, but it didn't run off of there. So now we go into the learning curve of how to use this. And again, this is my first time. The way this works is it also comes with this little tape holder here, like you'll see in the picture here, and it holds your joint tape. But you can also use this for masking tape when you're masking. What you want to do is pull off about 4 to 5 feet. I only have 4 feet here, so I'm just going to do about 3 feet. Just tear it off. Nothing scientific here. So we got about 3 feet right there. We're going to run this up through here. So you put this paper through here and just hold it with your thumb, and that's just so it doesn't fall back out. And then you stick it down into the mud, and you want to get this tip down in the mud about 1 inch. And then what you do is grab this part here and start pulling it up through here. Okay, you see how it's leaving these grooves in here? Grooves in those teeth are making it put the mud on a certain thickness every time. That's your depth gauge essentially. So if you watch as I pull it up through here, it's just putting the mud on. So I actually pulled this up out of there a little bit, but you can see it's got a nice coating of mud on there. Now we're going to test that here in a second. Okay, because of the design, it's going to leave that little bit of dry right there. What I would do is just tear that off. So you might want to remember to have a few inches more than you need to tear that off. Then we're just going to place it on the wall. And let me move around to this side. Okay, then you can use this same knife, or you could switch to another one, and you just wipe it down. Now, if it's a short piece like this, you usually want to start in the middle and go to the end. That's to help keep wrinkles out and it doesn't slide so much. That's really about all you need to do. You really don't have to go over this 40 times. Now, you don't want to push real hard. You want to hold your knife at like a 45-degree angle, put medium pressure. Because if you push too hard, let me show you what happens. Hold this at about a 45-degree angle, and you see how I flex it a little bit and push. If you stand it up too much, you're going to wipe out too much mud. If you lay it down too much, you're not going to wipe out enough. So once across, that's really about it. Now, first let's take a look under here. Okay, now I'm going to show you a close-up of this. You can see there's kind of like these wavy lines on here. That shows that you got a decent amount on there. It's going to stick. Let's wipe it a little too much though. We're going to stand it up too much, and we're going to overwork it like a lot of you guys do. And then if we look at it, okay, now in the second one, it's a little bit too much. That you see the lines are smaller. It's not as wavy, and it's not a huge difference, but if you wipe it too tight, that's what will happen. So that's really all there is to it. All right, so you see, that's a pretty simple way to do it. It put the mud on the tape nice and evenly. You didn't have to know how to spread it. And I really think that'll simplify it for you if you're just doing a small job. Now, if you're gonna do very much, hire a pro. That's my advice, but if you really wanna tackle it, this would do it. It just would take you longer. So hey, I hope that helped you out, and you see these other videos popping up here. Click on one of them if you want to learn some more, and be sure to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and I'd really appreciate a comment, good or bad, let me know. Look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Take care, everybody.